Netflix's Ultraman Rising is a very interesting take on the franchise that I still don't really know if I truly love or just like. Mainly because I truly believe it's a good movie, but it doesn't really feels like an Ultraman movie. It kind of feels like a script that already existed and they changed some bits of it when Netflix got the actual approval for the licensing to make an Ultraman movie. The movie itself follows Ken/Kenji Sato, a baseball player that moved back from the US to Japan after a slew of kaiju attacks came in, and his injured dad asked for his help because he can't really transform into Ultraman anymore, but his son can. Put a pin in that. I'm going to return to that entire thing in a later bit in this video. In his debut game, the kaiju Gigatron tried to take back its egg, but got defeated by the quote-unquote defense force, KDF, going to talk about them later, and Ken by kind of trying to help Gigatron rescue the egg and the baby Gigatron Amy that hatched from the egg. When she woke up for the first time, she thought Mr. Kenji/Ultraman was her mother. So now it's Ken's responsibility to not only raise the young Amy and protect her from the KDF, but also prove all his doubters wrong since he's moved back to Japan. As a premise, it's good. I truly think Ken as a protagonist for an Ultra type of material show/movie is really cool because as a character, he's very flawed. He's very self-centered. He believes that he's some sort of a big shot that can bring back the giant to their former glory days. He thinks a lot highly of himself, but him being an Ultra means that he needs to have some goodness in his heart. The light wouldn't choose him for no apparent reason, or at least the light chose him, or I'm going to talk about that entire thing later on, but you can kind of start to see some of my small like problems with the movie. But him as a character is really good. He's a terrific character. The actor that played him, like, you can really feel that he is this, you can say 30-year-old that still hasn't really grown up, so you can clearly seeing his kind of growth as not only as a person but also as a father figure, a son figure, and also as Ultraman, really rewarding. And it was so cool to see his character kind of try and slowly overcoming the multitasking of being a famous baseball player but also fathering a big-ass lizard kaiju, while also his relationship with his dad is extremely interesting, specifically because they're very distant. You could clearly see he kind of holds some grudges over his dad because when Kenji and his mom moved to America, he decided to stay in because of his Ultraman duties. And you can clearly see and you can clearly hear by the way they talk, like Kenji holds some resentment to it because he kind of believes, specifically Kenji, that when his mother disappeared, his dad never looked for her. So for him, it's like, oh, like, screw that guy. And their growth, kind of when this movie kind of continues forward and the movie goes along, it does feel very natural. It does feel like, oh, like two real people talking and two real characters really kind of hash down this big wall they semi-put in front of each other. It's way more Kenji than his dad because his dad really believes in him. His dad told him, come back to Japan. You need to. As a person that can transform into an Ultraman, you need to have these responsibilities. And that's great. He's very much a different protagonist from his various counterparts from various different shows and movies. He's not this good-hearted boy or a disheveled soldier that believes that his being an Ultraman is a burden only for him to carry. He's not this cool, badass Ultra warrior that knows that he's the best. He's just a regular person with flaws. He's very much a Gridman protagonist through and through. He's a Gridman universe protagonist through and through, which may sound like some sort of a derogatory term, but it's not. Like, they're true. Like, Gridman universe protagonists are great. Hibiki was a blank slate. Naoto was fun, but like from like Dainazen on, it's fucking great. But Kenji as a protagonist is terrific. I loved his growth throughout the movie. You can really feel that there is a lot of attention towards to actually show us him growing as a hero, him growing as an ultra, because you can clearly see from the first fight scene that we see is like Kenji doesn't care about property damage, he doesn't care about people getting hurt, to the actual like final fight where he would and could sacrifice himself to protect everybody else. He genuinely grows as a character. He's very much the light of the movie. And if we already talked about the protagonist, let's talk about our antagonist, which I don't know if I like or not, and that is the KDF, specifically the captain of the defense force, which it's strange to say, because like Ultra does do from time to time, the main organization that our heroes are a part of, they're a part of the main villain group. Like, let's say in Blazer, the GGF, specifically the Boshi, was kind of the main bad guy. But here is the thing, the KDF is supposed to be the defense force, and it just doesn't feel right. It could have been anything else, but the way that the movie kind of presented the KDF, they presented them as the defense force. So it's like, why you do that? The KDF could have been literally the army, and no one, at least I, wouldn't have any problems with it. But when you say, no, the KDF are the defense forces, they are the SSSP, they are the SCAR, they are the SIGs, they are the GUTS, they are the SCIPs, they are the EYES. I could go on and on, like, throwing a bunch of different defense team like names, but they're very much the people that are there to defend the world and defend Japan. And when you make them the bad guys, I'm like, do you really fully read the materials correctly? Because here's the thing, Dr. Onda is really interesting as a character because he's flawed also. His backstory, the reason why he's a bad guy makes sense. But the problem is, he's very one note. He's very much kind of like this stereotypical villain with a sad backstory, but the problem is, yeah, when you are in a 2-hour movie and your real main focus is the protagonist, because 2 hours is not enough to also like develop Kenji, his dad, Amy Forbit, a reporter, and also Neda, the doctor. I'm sorry if I'm saying his name incorrectly, but when you need to develop like 3, 4, 5 characters in 2 hours, it's difficult. People would, fall off the cliff. And the doctor is one of them. He's one note. I never really cared about him. The movie tried to make me care about him, but it's not enough for me to actually say, oh my god, he was such a brilliant character, because he wasn't. Like, to be completely honest, the best way to kind of, let's say, give the doctor some sort of a counterpart to a different tokusatsu material is like the Gorgon party in Black Sun. He was a cardboard cutout. If it was a show, I think that the defense force themselves could have been really interesting. They're very much like, you can see it from their outfits, it's like, oh, they are very much based on I genuinely forgot what the name of it's not the Ultra Guard. Was it the Ultra Guard? Wait, let's actually like see it. No, Ultra Guard. I was correct. It was the Ultra Guard. Yeah, their outfits are very kind of like Ultra Guard inspired alongside the SSSP kind of color scheme. So you can clearly see the people that made the movie did their fucking homework. I just kind of wish that the movie would have maybe focused more on them, or at least not make it a movie. Maybe make it a show. Maybe, here's the thing, probably like the way that the story was told in a show wouldn't work, but like as someone that watches the movie, I'm like, man, it could have been so interesting because like you can clearly see the love and intention they put in just on the KDF. Like they feel like their uniform feels like the Ultra Guard, fucking matte, and the SSSP kind of uniforms kind of combine. Literally, their like logo kind of resembles eyes from fucking Cosmos. Like you can clearly see, like the people that worked on the movie did some research and did some of their homework, but it just like it felt, I would not say Americanized because I don't think that saying something is Americanized is bad, but it feels like, oh, we couldn't really do like the kaiju as the big bad, so we'll just do the defense force, which you could have like made the KDF like defense force, and then you made something else like above the KDF, and you not tarnish the name of the defense force. Because here's the thing, if someone would watch this movie and get to like, oh, I would watch a regular old Ultra show, so it's like they would actually believe that all of like the defense forces are like the bad guys, and it's like, no, you should kind of like make it slightly more like an Ultra show. Because here's the thing, I'm not even asking for someone to make Kenji a part of the defense force. Like, because here's the thing, Ultraman Nexus did it, which is fine. Like, fucking Ginga didn't have a fucking defense force. You see? Like, you can do an Ultra project without a defense team. So it's like, you could have just made it the Japanese military and I wouldn't have any problem with it. But when you like just say, oh, it's the defense force, it's like, no, I don't like it. But yeah, like, I don't know. The Doctor as an antagonist was just like too boring. Like, I don't know. Just, it could be just me, but fine. Like, he could have had a more compelling story if they would actually like let him kind of develop. Because like from, oh, he's kind of the captain of the defense force and his reason to blow up an entire island full of kaiju, how much, yeah, it is kind of reasonable why he wants to do it, but it just feels so out of place. It feels so not in character. Not in character, way more not fully developed. It just like he was there and he got some sort of a backstory to just make him feel a little bit bad for him, but also a bit bad about them kaijus. So yeah, like there were some other characters in the movie. I think most of them did really good and really fun. The dad had some really funny moments with Amy, great heart-to-heart with Kenji, like him, like seeing a younger him and a young Kenji and his wife interacting was amazing. Like you can really feel that the dad is a really good person and him kind of like trying to cheer on his son and push his son to be a better Ultra was great. The reporter was a fun character. She had some moments in the beginning of the film, but when the movie kind of continues on, she kind of became less and less important to the plot, almost like she was supposed to be like a bigger character, almost like a love interest, and then like they kind of like dropped it out, which like I would have liked like a love interest. I think it would have been fun because it's an Ultra thing to do, so I don't see it as a problem. And yeah, like here's the thing, like I can talk about Amy, but like what can I say? Amy is cute. She has some really funny moments and that's it. Like she was kind of like, you can say she was a part of the most emotional moments of the film, but like that's it. She's as a character not really a character. She's way more of a plot device than anything else. So yeah, let's kind of return to the thing I talked about in the synopsis of the movie, and that was Kenji being an Ultraman. Well, this is the only spoiler that I'm going to talk about the movie, and that is the movie never really explained how the fuck Kenji transforms into Ultraman. Not like in, let's say, the literal sense. He's transforming like Ultraman Jack and 721. It's literally wish powers. How we call it specifically? It's actually willpower, which is cool. Again, it's another Ultraman Jack reference, it's another Return of Ultraman reference, which is great. But the problem is, we don't know how they became Ultraman. We don't know if Kenji and his dad are like Ultra beings that came to Earth and just took a form of a human, like let's say the Moroboshi or a guy Kurenai or a Haruki from a Jid, like it all felt like, oh, they're Ultraman. We don't really care how they became Ultraman, which is like, I kind of do, because here's the thing, Ultraman is like literally pride itself on like, oh, we are this interconnected universe, like kind of the lore of the show kind of matters. Like, I just wish that they actually kind of did it, because here's the thing, like Ultraman, like the first time we got to see Ultraman when he came to Shin Hayata in the first episode of Ultraman after both of them kind of got injured. Like he literally said, hey Shin Hayata, you died in battle. I'm an alien from the Nebula M78. Like that's like great ass fucking world building that Ultraman is really good at, and this movie didn't really do anything. It could literally be a line of like, I don't know, fucking, like I don't really know how to put a context on it, but it's like it. At first I felt like, oh, maybe it's kind of like a TDG trilogy situation, because like at first I thought, oh, you know, like somehow the dad gave Kenji the light and he can transform into Ultraman, because like when Kenji does transform, it does really feel like, oh, Kenji's just embodying the light of an Ultra, kind of like how the TDG trilogy, specifically a lot of like the Heisei era like Ultras are very much kind of like Tiga, Dyna, Cosmos, Gaia, like all of them were humans that inherited the light of an Ultra. But this time is like, is he, does he, like I don't know. That's like one of like the main issues that I have with the film. It's like, it's like you can really see they could have like handled a lot of the lore better. And here's the thing, maybe because it is kind of set up for a lot of newcomers, but I'm not like expecting for us to really like get like, oh my god, this big lore dump. But it's like at least the moment that Kenji understood that he's an Ultra could have been interesting. I don't know, because like it could have been cooler to actually see it, because you know, like as an Ultra, if I can remember correctly, he's one of the like least known about Ultras there is. Like we know way more about Ginga. We don't even know the height of Ginga. We know about way more about Ginga with like, oh, he came from the future. How Kenji's Ultraman form came in? Is he an Ultraman? But yeah, like here's the thing. As an Ultra, if I would start talking about the visuals, he's weird. Like it feels like a combination of just like, let's just have 66 Ultraman be really skinny and really buff at the same time. And I don't know about that. Like I wish he looked different. I wish he had like a different pattern, because he's literally 66 Ultraman. It worked for Shin Ultraman because literally he was called Shin Ultraman, so it did work. This time it's like, no, you should have made an entirely new Ultraman design. It could have been cooler. Like you can still do like the silver and red material, but it's like just make him look different, use a different pattern. Like the only thing that kind of makes him slightly different is the blue eyes and the pupils. I don't like the pupils. The pupils are weird. Like in my opinion, Ultras should not have pupils. But overall, like the fucking visuals of the movie is fucking fantastic. I love like the dotted manga design. I think all of the characters look really cool. Like every character actually like stands out, and you can really see specific characters looking different, and no one actually looks the same, which is cool. I loved seeing some really cool like fresh new takes of like old kaiju designs, like seeing even the small little details of like kaiju designs is really cool. And you know what, having the blue eyes does make Ultraman look different. But again, I kind of wish that his patterns were different, because in one point I would like to see this Ultraman actually comes in and like team up with other Ultras in some sort of an Ultra Galaxy fight. That would be cool. Yeah, overall this movie was great. It really was. I've seen it on like social media. It does really feel like a very early 2000 Pixar movie with a lot of heart and a lot of love put into it. Just with my two biggest problem of like, hey, the KDF being the bad guys is one of the things I didn't really like, while also not really fully feeling like an Ultraman film. It very much felt like a movie that already existed, a script that already kind of existed, and they kind of like did something else with it, just tweaked a few things and just made it Ultraman, but still it had a lot of like the light/hope porn that Ultraman really likes to do. With Kenji being our protagonist, it did really help and it did really work. Again, it had a lot of the spirit of Ultraman with it, but in my opinion, not enough for me to absolutely fall in love with it. I like it, I think it's a great movie, but it's just like, it missed some of the marks of being this terrific and amazing Ultraman movie that I would put next to, let's say, a Shin Ultraman. Like, if I could rank the two, it was like, okay, Shin Ultraman for me it's an S+, while Ultraman Rising is an A+. I think it was so close to being an S. If they would have fixed one of my two problems, it would have actually been an S. And if they fixed both of my problems, it would have been an S+. It just felt like a different take that, you know what, if it's fine that I can take it and I can't really accept that take, it's fine in my opinion, because hey, like, my reviews are not supposed to be for everyone. I think that, hey, it was a fun movie that, in my opinion, could have handled being an Ultraman movie in a different way. Just do more of the stuff that I like about Ultraman. So yeah, have you watched Ultraman Rising? Comment below, let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like the video, help the subscribe button be a subscribed button. It's their true goal. So yeah, only you can prevent forest fires. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.